Taxation plays a fundamental role in the development of any nation, and Indonesia is no exception. As one of Southeast Asia's largest economies, Indonesia relies heavily on tax revenue to fund infrastructure, education, healthcare, and social welfare. However, for decades, Indonesia's tax system has faced various challenges ranging from low compliance rates, tax evasion, a narrow tax base, and inefficiencies in collection. This has led to a series of tax reforms initiated by the government in an effort to modernize the system, improve efficiency, and enhance state revenue. In this video, we'll explore the journey of tax reformation in Indonesia, its history, driving forces, key policies, and its impact on the economy and society. Historically, Indonesia's tax system was heavily centralized, bureaucratic, and lacked transparency. Prior to the 1980s, tax collection was inefficient, and the administration was underdeveloped. In the mid-1980s, the government began to overhaul the tax structure, introducing the value-added tax, VAT, modernizing income tax regulations, and improving tax administration through the establishment of the Directorate General of Taxes, DGT. This reform period laid the foundation for the country's future tax policies. One of the primary objectives of tax reform in Indonesia has been to increase the tax ratio, the proportion of tax revenue to gross domestic product, GDP. For many years, Indonesia's tax ratio remained below the regional average, often hovering around 10 to 12%. This is significantly lower than in countries like Thailand or Malaysia. A low tax ratio indicates that the government collects less revenue than it potentially could, limiting its ability to fund development programs. To address this issue, the government implemented a series of reforms under various presidential administrations. During President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono's era, digitalization began to take hold. Tax offices were equipped with better systems, and electronic tax filing was introduced. This continued under President Joko Widodo, who pushed further with bureaucratic reform and the digitization of tax services, making them more accessible and transparent. The tax amnesty program launched in 2016 was a major milestone. This program allowed individuals and businesses to declare previously unreported assets with reduced penalties. The goal was to broaden the tax base and repatriate funds held offshore. Over 745,000 taxpayers participated, and more than IDR 800 trillion worth of assets were declared. While this did not permanently solve all tax compliance issues, it gave the government a clearer picture of potential revenue sources. Another significant development came with the Omnibus Law on Taxation passed in 2020. This law aimed to simplify the regulatory framework, reduce corporate income tax, provide tax incentives for investment, and improve legal certainty. The reduction of corporate income tax from 25% to 22% and eventually to 20% was seen as a way to enhance Indonesia's competitiveness in attracting foreign investment. Digitization has become a central pillar of modern tax reform. The implementation of the core tax administration system, expected to be fully operational by 2025, is a major step forward. This system integrates all taxpayer data, improves monitoring and risk assessment, and enhances service quality. The introduction of e-factor, electronic invoices, e-bupo, electronic withholding tax slips, and online filing platforms has increased efficiency and taxpayer convenience. One of the most pressing issues in Indonesia's taxation is the informal sector, which accounts for over 50% of the workforce. Many of these workers are not registered with tax authorities, making it difficult to broaden the tax base. Reforms are gradually being introduced to encourage the inclusion of informal workers and small businesses through simplified tax regimes, such as final tax on micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs. International cooperation has also played a role in tax reformation. Indonesia is a member of the OECD Inclusive Framework on Base Erosion and Profit Shifting, BEPS, which aims to curb tax avoidance by multinational corporations. By adopting global standards, Indonesia seeks to align its tax policies with international norms and combat illicit financial flows. Public awareness and education are crucial components of tax reform. The government has launched various campaigns to inform citizens of their tax obligations and the benefits of paying taxes. While compliance has improved, a cultural shift is still needed. Many Indonesians still view taxes as burdensome, rather than a civic duty that contributes to national progress. Corruption within the tax authority has also been a persistent challenge. High-profile cases have damaged public trust and highlighted the need for stronger internal controls. Reforms have sought to improve transparency and accountability within the DGT through better oversight mechanisms and more stringent recruitment processes. The impact of tax reform is already visible in several areas. Revenue collection has improved, especially from VAT and personal income taxes. The tax base has expanded, and the use of technology has reduced the time and cost of tax compliance. For businesses, tax incentives under the reform system have encouraged investment in priority sectors, such as manufacturing and renewable energy. Yet, challenges remain. The economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic led to reduced tax revenue in 2020 and 2021. As the country recovers, the government must balance tax incentives with the need to increase revenue. There is also a need to simplify the tax code further, eliminate overlapping regulations, and strengthen enforcement to deter evasion. Looking ahead, sustainable tax reform in Indonesia will depend on several key factors. First, political will and leadership are essential to drive policy changes and resist vested interests. Second, continued investment in digital infrastructure and human resources is needed to ensure effective tax administration. Third, public trust must be rebuilt through transparency, fairness, and consistent enforcement. Indonesia's transition to a green economy will also influence tax policy. Carbon taxes, environmental levies, and incentives for sustainable practices are being considered as tools to combat climate change while generating revenue. These measures must be carefully designed to avoid placing undue burden on low-income populations. In conclusion, tax reformation in Indonesia is a complex but essential process. It is not merely about increasing state revenue, but about creating a fair, efficient, and inclusive system that supports economic growth and social equity. While much progress has been made, the journey is far from over. With the right policies, political commitment, and public support, Indonesia can build a tax system that truly serves the people and propels the nation toward a prosperous future. Thank you for watching.